morning, all you lights. This is Claudia of Moon Powered Astrology on the 13th of March, not Friday the 13th, but Monday, Moon Day the 13th. If you're here with me on the live stream, please check in. And if you're watching the replay, I'm sending a gratitude to you for watching as well. The replays are available on YouTube, Facebook, Spirituality Gone Wild, on a few platforms. I'm still understanding Instagram. I had someone show me how to use it, but they took me off in a direction of having to learn a whole nother program. I just want to know how to use Instagram, how to go hi with the phases, because truly the phases are the things that keep you rocking the rhythms of life. And I'm going to be talking a bit about that today, along with the things that are happening this week. We have another planetary shift. And so, of course, as always, we begin by dropping into our heart. You know, with all these shifts, it's an absolutely, and spring imminent. This is the last week of winter. And so it may not be showing up that way where you live. Let me know if you're still experiencing these crazy winter storms. Hello, Lisa. Wonderful to see you. Thank you for being here. So now we put our feet on the floor. If you'd like a reading, by the way, the link will go by occasionally, or you can go to my Facebook page and click on the link to make an appointment for your reading. The March and April special continues. $99 for a cosmic conversation with me. And, you know, of course, a full reading is always available. So put your feet on the floor, palms up in your lap. Begin to just be aware of your breath as it comes and goes. Where is the breath in your body? Is it coming up? Do you feel it coming up all the way from below your feet in the earth? Bring up that earth energy all the way through your legs, your torso, up to the top of your head, all the way to the tips of your fingers. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Make your exhalation a little longer than your inhalation. With each exhalation, feel your shoulders relax and drop. Feel your hips supported by the chair or the couch that you're sitting on. And if your breath is still stuck in your chest, put your hands on your belly. And be sure your belly is moving with each breath. To live fully, you need to breathe fully. It's one of the positive uses of Mars in Gemini, energizing, mindful breathing. Feel every one of those trillions of cells enlivening as they receive prana, the life force from source. And now on the next breath, as you inhale and the inhalation moves to the top of your head, see white light pouring down through your crown chakra, filling your body and dissolving any negativity, any thinkety-think, bringing you into the present moment as anything that is not of this present moment, just for now, dissolves. On the next breath, as you exhale, that white light pours down and your consciousness, your attention drops behind your facial mask, through your throat, your chest, comes to rest in your heart. Begin to breathe in and out of your heart. And as you do so, let your eyes look up between your brows to your third eye. You will probably feel your belly chakra automatically engage. When you look up like this with the pineal, you've engaged your heart. You are connected to everything. You are connected to the source that you truly are. And now a rosy, beautiful glow of light fills your heart. Your heart is like a well that's filling to overflowing with self-love, with the magnificence of that which you truly are. Source expressing in form as the unique divine creation that is you. And now beautiful emerald green comes to join that rosy glow, healing your heart of any old wounds or recent wounds as you allow a release and a surrender to occur, knowing that you live in a benevolent universe. And now that glow of emerald and rose light moves through your whole body, filling those trillions of cells with self-love and the capacity for love and the healing power of love as every cell of your body moves into harmony, harmonious, total health and well-being in every area of your body and your life. And the light now moves through your skin out to fill your auric field. Love, 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 inside and out, emanating from the heart, connected to source. And now the space that you're in is filled with this love light. Let's do 3 ohms. The I am, the God force. And again. Feel the connection. And open your eyes and come back to be with me. Yeah, feels good, doesn't it? Yeah, to remind yourself that the creative stuff that sustains you is actually love. You know, we're in a time, especially with Saturn on the move into the extremely emotionally sensitive waters of Pisces. We're in a time where we really have to choose between fear and love. Doesn't mean that we don't feel the fear. And that's one of the things that Saturn in Pisces can limit our ability to appreciate our vulnerabilities and to be willing to have an open heart regarding other people's vulnerabilities. This is one of the big lessons of the limitations of Saturn in Pisces. Of course, the high side is bringing your dreams into form. And that's what this last full moon was all about. Where is there more order, more practicality, more attention to the important details in your life, and making health number one? Where are those things that the full moon reminded you about? I hope you've had time to reflect on them. We're still in the disseminating phase. As we move through this day, we will move into the last quarter phase tomorrow night. So we're still reflecting. We're still taking a bite out of the fruit that is a result of the blooming, the culmination of this recent full moon. And of course, an hour after the full moon in Virgo, on the 7th, Saturn moved into Pisces. The last time that Saturn was in Pisces was 1993. And it moved in really briefly. And then it moved in retrograde motion to move back into Aquarius. This is 1993. And then it moved back in later in the year and stayed until 1996 in June. So if you look at that time in your life, what occurred? I know for me, I was in Atlanta, Georgia, having left the movie industry, having left my Hollywood career, so to speak, behind. I would say my journey has taken me from Hollywood to the moon. And that was what was calling me. The moon was literally calling me. It took me a while to disengage. I was born with the moon in Taurus, so it took me a while to disengage and to hear the call of what was moving me forward. But everything was in place. I realized that I missed water. As Saturn moved into Pisces, yes, I missed water. And so when Saturn was officially back in Pisces in 1994, I started affirming that. I owned that and asked myself where my favorite place to live was, the most beautiful place to me in the country, which at that time was the San Francisco Bay Area. And a friend asked me, by the way, while Saturn was in Pisces, and Pisces is mutable, right? Changeable. I lived 12 places in 1 year with 2 cats in Atlanta. Could not land because Pisces squares my chart in big ways. And and also Pisces with the 12th house reminds us that it's a time of endings as we begin to put our dreams into form. But it's also, the 12th house is the place where the sun rises. So it reminds you that the sun is going to rise just as spring is going to come on the 21st, next Tuesday. Yeah. So a friend of mine asked me to house sit in Bolinas in Northern California. And there I was on the water. Now, I had been in a massive car accident. I had broken my back. Couldn't drive. Couldn't walk very far. Couldn't walk at all at first. And so the structure of my very body, as well as my life, had been massively changed. The call for change was huge. And with Venus moving into Taurus this week, we're going to get to see where we hang on, where we don't really surrender to spirit. Spirit doesn't ask us to figure out the how. It'll give you the how if you're listening. But it asks you to have the dream, to have the vision, which a vision's a little more concretized than the dream. And that's what this Pisces full moon reminded you of. So today the moon is in Sagittarius. I just wanted to mention that to you because Saturn can be challenging, but its goal is to build something new in your life. And in Pisces, it says, let's give form to the dream. But it also says you need to have some discipline. Be willing to take it step by step. Apply the work. And I define work as love made visible. So that's my definition of the service axis, which Virgo Pisces, they're opposites. And that is the service axis of the zodiac, where we take our passions and our creative self-expression and we put them into a greater service. So I mentioned that today we start off with, it ought to be a feel-good Monday, really, because Sagittarius, unless it's, in a hard aspect in your chart, it's asking you to expand your spirit. Yeah. What's the adventure? How could you look at life as the adventure that it is? Not to get so hung up in the how or the shoulds. That's a big Saturn word, should. Are you shoulding on yourself? Good question to ask, right? And also, I was reminded of a phrase that my mom used to use. She used to say, praise Allah, but tie up your camel. So it's not a religious statement, but it's, praise the higher source. Know you're taken care of, but tie up your camel. In other words, take the practical steps. Get your resources in order. Focus on your priorities so that you can move that dream forward. In the disseminating phase, the keywords are harvest. Harvest your insights. And as I mentioned, this is the last week of winter. We're going to end the week with some luck of the Irish with St. Patrick's Day. And so allow yourself to get your ducks in a row, so to speak, because of the things that you've realized. I mentioned to look back 6 months ago to when the moon was new in Virgo, the moon of organization, decluttering, prioritizing, and physical health. So how are you doing with the things that you set forth last August? And how are you doing with the intentions that you set on the new moon on March 7th? Are you allowing yourself to be creative, to use your imagination, and to be in touch every day with the things that inspire you, that inspire your playful heart? Yeah, you want to stay in touch with your playful heart and cultivate that. You know, we all take life so seriously. And it really, like I said, it's an adventure. So allow the moon in Sagittarius today to remind you of that. Tomorrow, the moon continues to complete its journey in Sagittarius. And so look at how you want to expand the horizons of your mind and world. How could you be more open-minded? Where do your beliefs limit you? And where are they truly aligned with your values and with the vision you're creating? Tomorrow night at 7:08 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And by the way, it is daylight time now, right? How many of you are happy about that? I know in California, they're talking about making that full time. You know, after all, time is an illusion, right? And so as we move into the last quarter phase, that's a square, the waning square of sun and moon. And the last quarter is about taking stock of the whole cycle and asking yourself, what's valuable and what do I want to release as the plant that you've grown and created and during this cycle that you've manifested now begins to go back to the ground of consciousness that created it. And so you get to look at that. Hi, Maura. Oh, yeah. Well, Sagittarius, she has a lot in her chart. So I think that's very joyful, you know, as long as you don't get caught up in your beliefs. Hello, Brenda. And so as we move forward into the last quarter, you take stock. Oprah Winfrey was born in the last quarter phase. What phase of the moon were you born in? Do you know? It's really your underlying MO in life, your phase at birth. And so the last quarter phase is the phase where you look back over the past 3 weeks and take stock of how you've done. Hi, Gaia. And so use that phase well, because it's going to last till Saturday, that last quarter phase. And so it's an opportunity to shift your attitude, to be sure that you are in alignment with those intentions that you set forth and the wish that you made on the full moon. Where are you out of alignment? Where could your perspective, your attitude shift? I'm always reminded of the Pointer Sisters song, Get a New Attitude, because this is your opportunity to do that. And you can just watch. I find that each phase really works with me because those are the rhythms of life that my body actually rocks to. So if you want to rock the rhythms of life, pay attention to the phases. And you can look up and tell what phase it is as the light grows from, in our hemisphere, the Northern Hemisphere, from right to left. And then when it's full, after it's full, it begins to darken from right to left. So you always know what time it is. And if you message me, or if you go to moonpoweredastrology.com, you will find, you can sign up for my email list, but you will be sent a moon phases at a glance immediately. So you always know what time it is, because the true unerring calendar and clock on planet Earth, and the arbiter of all the glory that you see created on this magnificent planet, is by virtue of the phases of the moon. So, I was thinking yesterday about the fact that Saturn, for instance, which is in Pisces according to Western tropical astrology. Saturn is in Aquarius, according to sidereal, Vedic, Eastern astrology. And I thought, well, that's interesting because we are still learning the lessons around humanity, right? Pisces introduces the element of compassion, big time, and remembering that we are spirit having a human experience. So what do we do if we have these divergent ways of looking at our cosmos? The moon, wherever you are, Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, whatever country you're in, the phases of the moon are your guide. 8 phases of transformation in every lunar cycle of 28 to 29 and a half days. So really look at how you are. Are you spending some time massaging, tapping, looking up at your third eye as you focus on the breath and drop into your heart at least a couple times a day? After all, the force that created and sustains you shows up for you 24/7, or we wouldn't be having this conversation, right? So it's really lovely for you just to be willing to do that, especially during this Pisces cycle, which reminds you of how that meditation time impacts your health. It's part of a balanced health program. And because the sun actually rises in the 12th house, as I mentioned earlier, and then it goes over the ascendant into the first house and lights your self-identity up. And you wake up and energize that personality, that unique divine expression. It's wonderful to meditate just before sunrise, to really tap into that power. If you find yourself waking up at like 3 or 4 in the morning, that's spirit calling you. So if you aren't ready to rise, ask the question, what's the message you have for me? Mercury continues moving through Pisces, emphasizing your connection, or your communication with Source. So I just suggest that for you. As we move to Wednesday, the 15th, the moon moves into Capricorn at 4:06 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And you might feel like that's when the work week really begins. Sagittarius is fire moon. It's mutable. And it asks you, since we're still in the disseminating phase today, what changes do you want to make that would expand your perspective, expand your ability to give your dream form? And Capricorn is the sign that takes care of business. It's considered to be some call it the CEO of the zodiac, although that's a rather corporate term. But did you know that Elvis, I think they were called the Memphis Mafia, but all his guys wore these necklaces, these gold necklaces that said TCB. Elvis was a Capricorn born baby. And that meant take care of business. So if you find that the week that you spent Monday and Tuesday kind of planning, reflecting, harvesting your insights during this cycle, then when the moon moves into Capricorn, it's time for you to reconnect with that step-by-step plan that you're putting forth. What is the dream? What does the dream look like from the top of the mountain when you look out over the landscape? It may seem a bit foggy right now because of this Piscean energy and because Mercury is in Pisces. That's why your imagination is so, so powerful. So on Thursday, Venus moves into Taurus, and we are reminded to come to our senses. We've been in the world of spirit and looking at details, and Taurus says, come to your senses, the 5 senses. It's sensual, content, it's an earth sign, and it also deals with finances. Interesting during tax season, right? That we have this Venus moving into Taurus. But we'll seek security and value that which is long lasting. Taurus endures, and it wants things that endure. Venus wants beauty, seeks pleasure, And also, Taurus doesn't let go easily. So the downside can be being too possessive. But it's also able to hang on as something is built, which has been interesting with Uranus in Taurus. It's been upsetting, oftentimes upsetting those apple carts of the things that we want to build. But that's because it's always taking it to a higher level, higher yet, right? Yeah. Bigger view, more compassion, more love, more self love, more awareness of how you are living and walking your dream and your vision every day. And with Venus in Taurus, it emphasizes the beauty of nature, the physical world around you, touch, sight, hearing, the five senses. So while Venus is in Taurus, make sure that that you're getting your hugs. The lockdown is over. A lot of people are still walking around in fear. That's okay. That's their path. But we're rising, right? We're ascending. And a lot of us are experiencing ascension symptoms. So I want to remind you of that as we move through the photon belt with the coronal mass ejections happening, the electricity that's being ramped up everywhere by the light, by the photons, photonic energy. And so you want to honor that. Don't just necessarily think that something's wrong with you. I always affirm harmonious health and well-being in every cell of my body, in every parsec of my existence. And I do that when I'm blessing my food. Grateful for that abundance that flows to me and through me. So as Venus moves into Taurus, you might find that it's time to get a massage, that it's time to get your face ready for spring, your skin ready for spring. And so get in touch with your values. That's really been the message of the North Node in Taurus. What are your values? Are you living your values? Are you respecting your values and the values of others? Or are you in judgment? This is the downside of this moon in Sagittarius today and tomorrow. Do you judge? Or do you, well, I'll talk about that in just a second, Gaia. Do you judge? Do your beliefs limit you, or do they open you up? Do they expand your horizons? Would you rather be right, or would you rather be happy? That's really the question. And I had a question about Libra. Well, we've got a lot of things in Aries, Eris, Chiron, Jupiter in opposition to Libra. So you might look back to 6 years ago for Libras, because that's when Jupiter was in Libra. What was happening then? And what's happening now? Really, with this Pisces cycle, asks Libra to look at the dance of adjustment they do to establish healthy boundaries in their relationships, in their lives, and balance. What does that mean? How can you have more harmony, beauty, and balance in your life? Sounds like Taurus, Venus in Taurus, doesn't it? Well, Libra's ruled by Venus as well. But it's Venus of the mind, because it's an air sign, whereas this is Venus of the earth in Taurus. The good news about that is you can really look at how you're going to build, what you're going to do to have the resources you need every day. Financial, yes, but also according to your values. Do you value joy? Do you value love? Do you value nature? The things that you value every day ties in nicely with the Pisces emphasis on being in touch with the things that inspire you. Also, the nodal axis is going to shift in July. In tropical astrology, the nodes have been and will continue to be in Scorpio and Taurus. So Taurus is the north node. Scorpio is the south node. We continue to clear the old wounds and hurts of the past. And as we move into July, the nodes will move into Aries and Libra. And so we will be moving forward regarding how we express our individual selves. How do we express that unique individual expression of source that we are in the world? And that's collective. The nodes are collective. It is, we're all working in that way. We're all working on the same theme. There's only one of us here in truth, the energy field of humanity, the collective. And so we're being asked to move forward. What does that mean, to move forward into the territory of Taurus? Well, it means connection with the earth, for one thing. It changes your whole day. You probably found this, that when you go outside in the morning, it changes your whole day, changes your whole perspective, because nature vibrates at 528 hertz. That's the vibration of love. So when you go into nature, not with headphones, just being with nature, you're a human being, to just be there. The sounds, the creatures, the energy. Give yourself that gift. Renew that connection, especially while Venus is in Taurus. It's going to be there till April 11th. So Venus moves quickly, but it is going to linger a little bit in its home sign of Taurus. So enjoy that. It's going to give you a strong appetite for pleasure. Of course, the downside of that can be, not necessarily healthy indulgences. So you want to just be aware of that. And yeah, it's really good to have hug buddies. Hug yourself. Everybody, just give yourself a big hug right now. Yes. Hug yourself. You're fabulous. You're unique. You're a unique divine expression by divine design. Yeah. And I used to, that little town I mentioned that I moved to the last time Saturn was in Pisces, I had a couple of hug buddies. And if we'd see each other on the street, we'd stop and we'd just give each other a good long hug. We all need that. We're social creatures. And that's one of the things we were cut off from during the lockdown. Yes, it was just part of it. And it was devastating for some. So renew that connection. Don't live in fear. And you've got your auric field and your intuition is so strong. It's strong, period, because the veils have thinned. But it's really strong with Mercury and Pisces. So if someone's toxic. But don't be afraid. Just use your intuition and you'll know. You'll know. And if somebody needs a hug or you need a hug, be in love. That field of love emanating from your heart. So, so powerful. But you do need healthy boundaries. I'm not saying not to have healthy boundaries. Use that intuition to establish those, as well as your common sense. So you might find that when the moon's in Taurus, you're more interested in long-lasting, high-quality, practical items and being grounded. Or are you grounded? And you might find during this Pisces cycle that things have been confusing, and at times that might continue as Saturn has now moved. But Taurus favors stability over excitement in both love and pleasure. But ground yourself by getting out in nature, feeling the earth beneath your feet. Be grateful. We have a riot of daisies going on outside here. And I go out and I talk to them every day. And then I talk to them in the evening when they're curling themselves up to go to sleep at night. The plant world is so smart. We have a lot to learn from it, right? Yeah. So as we come into Friday, happy St. Patrick's Day. The luck of the Irish be with everyone. Yeah. And it's an interesting holiday if you want to look back at what the genesis of that was. It didn't begin with people drinking and being drunk and rioting in the streets of New York. I was at the St. Patty's Day parade one year, and it was both delightful and horrifying at the same time. Yeah. So, but Boston, New York, a lot of places do big celebrations, and so it's a good day to wear a little green in anticipation of spring, if nothing else, right? And affirm the beneficence, the good luck in your life, the good fortune that you are here on the planet in this incredibly exciting time of transformation. So on Friday, St. Patrick's Day, at 6:25 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, the moon moves into freedom-loving, visionary Aquarius. And so you look at your vision, the vision that you created when the moon cycle, the last lunar cycle was in Aquarius, and you bring the vision and the dream together, and you visualize, you feel it, and you ask, show me my next step, Source. Sometimes Source doesn't say anything about your next step. Maybe you're not supposed to do anything right now. Maybe you're just supposed to be, as I mentioned. If you're out of balance between doingness and beingness, between havingness and beingness, use this time to come into more balance. And you may find that yesterday I was really tired, and I was talking to some friends of mine about it. And then afterwards I thought, ascension symptoms. You talk about them, Claudia, because you're experiencing them. And so I laid down and took some time out to connect. And sometimes I'd put a solfeggio frequency on, which the different frequencies have to do with the different vibrations of healing. I mentioned 528 hertz, love and above. But there are lower frequencies that also have uses. But sometimes I just lie down in quiet. Yeah. Just letting myself be quiet for 20 to 30 minutes, even 3 minutes, 10 minutes. Give yourself that. As I mentioned, you're not a human doing. It's not a human race. We're human beings. Yeah. The indigenous people knew that. So on Saturday, as we enter the weekend, it's a weekend to rest because we enter the balsamic phase and the light diminishes until it's the dark of the moon that precedes every new moon. And we're going to have a new moon on Tuesday, so be sure to join me next Monday to tap into that energy. And the balsamic phase is the compost phase. Light equals energy, and therefore there's the least light and the least energy, and it's not the time to begin anything. Don't doom yourself to fail with something. Rock the rhythms of life. It's a time of regeneration, reflection, composting. What have you reflected on during this cycle and since the beginning of the year as spring is about to dawn? What, in the depth of the dark of winter, what have you seeded in your consciousness? What shifts have you made? And what will you take forward that will make fertile soil for planting in the next cycle, for planting the new beginning that is imminent? We've got this Aries new moon coming up at the very beginning of Aries. Actually, the new moon is at 29 degrees and some odd minutes, almost there. And then just a little while later, we've got the equinox happening at 0 degrees of Aries, which is the world point. So this indicates a wrap up of the endings of the old ways that you might have utilized your individual energy. If it was go, 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 make it happen, do it now. The urgency isn't a bad thing. But if it's putting all those shoulds on your shoulders and you're not listening, because we are not in the same playing field even, let alone play in the same game anymore. You know, I was amazed in 2012 when I would speak at conferences and people would ask me questions about 2012. And then everybody just kind of went on as if the world wasn't supposed to change when the calendar, the old his story, came to an end. Well, now we're in it. We're in that transformative time. And we're either going to honor the time that we're here for, and it's not necessarily easy because our DNA is literally changing, opening up. We are becoming enlightened beings filled with light. And remember, enlightenment tells you to lighten up. I love that. Yeah. So as you move through the weekend, just remember it's time to rest, regenerate, maybe play a little, but to really tune into the rhythms of your life, the rhythms of your dreams and your visions. And to work that with practical steps, that's what you're going to really begin to look at as we have this amazing injection, this whoosh of energy as spring begins. And then on Sunday at 6:25 a.m., the moon will move into Pisces, where the cycle began. So Sunday's a great day to connect with loved ones, with the people, things, experiences that inspire you, that help you feel connected. Music, art, dance. Pisces isn't just airy-fairy. It brings that creative imagineering down to a practical level so you can have more joy in your life. After all, joy is the clearest evidence of the presence of spirit. So as you look at as you look back at this cycle, yeah, we were guided to some powerful shifts, and that's what the new moon opened the door to. And those shifts are going to continue as the month moves forward. I've mentioned them before. Ceres is going to move in retrograde motion back into Virgo, the ecologist of the zodiac, the environmentalist. And we have aspects this week from Mars to Neptune and from Mercury to Mars, some squares which ask these energies to communicate with each other. And this helps us really get a handle on our dream. What are we letting go of? What are we attracting? Venus in Taurus, very magnetic. How are we open and receptive to our highest good and greatest joy? Remember, we're in the waning phase of the moon, and the waning phase of the moon says, exhale. As the light diminishes, exhale. How do you see in the dark? Third eye, right? If there's no light, we turn on that third eye high beam. We connect to source, and our path is lit with the magnificence of the universe within us and with the universe. Yeah. So Neptune is in the stronger position in these aspects this week, energizing the dream, reminding you that magic is afoot on planet Earth and in your life. Your job is to hold the vision, hold the dream, walk it. Connect with it every morning. Do your realization. Check back in with your intentions. How has that shifted? What have you done to move those intentions forward? And were they on target? That's what the last quarter is going to show you. And is my imagineering, is the way I'm walking throughout my day aligned with my dream? Or am I off like a shot without being grounded? That's what Venus in Taurus will remind you of. It will ask you, are you grounded? And are you grounded in your values? Do you know what you truly need? Do you have enough? Do you know always, do you affirm that you have enough because you are enough? And that's another thing that Taurus reminds us of. It's not about I have enough, therefore I am enough. It's flip that around. I am enough, therefore I always have enough. Might not be that you have everything you want. Buddhism talks a lot about desire. But knowing, having things in balance so that you know when to have that passion, when to have that desire, and then how to be a receptive vehicle, receiving your good from the universe. I was on Twin Flame Divine Fire a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about this lovely couple, Sandra and Alan, and they were saying that every morning when they wake up, they say, "Show us how good it can be, Source, God." I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to wake up with gratitude and then to say that, show me. And the thing is, then your job is to have the ears to hear, the eyes to see, to use your vehicle to experience, to appreciate and be grateful for all the good that's coming to you all the time. Our biggest challenge is just to be present. Just to be present, accept ourselves and our lives just as they are right now. And allow that to open your heart, lower your shoulders, as good flows to you from the universe. And that's what the Sagittarius moon today and tomorrow remind you of. Sagittarius is the adventurer, the truth seeker of the zodiac. The downside is getting mired in beliefs and judgments, because judgment closes the heart. But love, 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 love opens it again. And curiosity. Isn't that interesting? Tell me more about that. A real curiosity about other people's lives. We've become such a narcissistic culture because we are so based on survival and the belief that there's somewhere to get to. And you know what? You're there. You've arrived. Your present moment and your experience of it is unlike anybody else's. And that's what you can do for Source I Am in you today. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. Enjoy the ingress of Venus into Taurus. The planets keep moving along, don't they? Yeah. Have a beautiful day. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. It reminds you to expand the horizons of your mind and your spirit. And this week is filled with luck and good fortune as we move toward those green fields of St. Patrick's Day. Have a restful weekend. Have an absolutely fabulous week, because that's what you are, fabulous. Thanks for being with me. I love you to the moon and way beyond.